Peace. How's it going, Patrick? Conservative Rap. Thanks for taking a listen. Let's talk about the geopolitical front in this post. There's a global awakening, as you and I both know, and you're going to also hear about a cyber offensive, the new frontier of where the deep state is headed as patriots around the globe start to arise and wake up. First, let's check out Gateway Pundit. All right, Gateway Pundit. Globalist Germany's firewall against the AFD collapses as half the country now open to voting for effectively the far right, of Germany. Thank God. Never seen you want to talk about a country going to freaking waste. For the time since the party entered parliament about 9 years ago, the anti-democratic cordon sanitaire around the right-wing anti-globalist Alternative für Deutschland appears to have cracked wide open. According to the latest INSA Bild poll, fewer than half of all German voters now say they would never vote for AFD, down from a staggering 75% only just a few short years ago. This is nothing short of a historic breakthrough. I'd say that's a fair assessment of the, like the cultural temperament throughout the EU, honestly. Despite years of state-funded smear campaigns, constant domestic intelligence surveillance, Verfassungsschutz, court cases, job dismissals, bank account closures. They tried this in Canada too with the truckers. Repeated violence against party members by left globalist extremists, and even serious discussions about banning the party outright. Ordinary Germans are finally starting to wake up, see through the propaganda, and recognize what time it is, that the AFD is one of the serious oppositions to a failing system. The same out-of-touch, entrenched political class that lectures the public about defending democracy has spent billions of taxpayer euros on bloated public broadcasters, Gesgüberhirn, state-aligned fact-checkers, and a sprawling anti-extremist industry whose real purpose is to silence dissent. Yet all of that money and effort has failed spectacularly. What does that remind you of? All right, while AFD has just hit 26% nationwide, once again overtaking the crumbling, discredited CSU, cementing its position as Germany's strongest political force. While the Greens collapse to a humiliating 11% and SPD limbs among 15%, the AFD is surging among exactly the people who keep this country running. Skilled workers, families, young men, and increasingly women and Eastern Germans who are fed up with being ignored and lectured to. All right, and this goes on extenuously. So now let's move over also Truth, Trump kicking it on X. Share this tab instead. The United States did not attend the G20 summit in South Africa because the South African government refuses to acknowledge or address horrific human rights abuses endured by Afrikaners and other descendants of Dutch, French, German settlers. To put it more bluntly, they're killing white people and allowing random farms to be taken from them. Perhaps worst of all, the soon-to-be out-of-business New York Times and fake news media won't issue a word against the genocide. That's why all the liars and pretenders on the radical left media are going out of business. At the conclusion of the G20, South Africa refused to hand off the G20 presidency to a senior representative from our U.S. Embassy who attended the closing ceremony. Therefore, at my direction, South Africa will not be receiving an invitation to the 2026 G20, which will be hosted in the great city of Miami, Florida, next year. South Africa has demonstrated to the world that they're not a country worthy of membership anywhere. Amen. And we're going to stop all payments and subsidies to them, effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Wow. So it's a new reality we're again walking into. Next, again on the global front, this is from RT. Zelensky sent aid to U.S. talks to protect him from corruption probe. Look at this. Andrei Yermak was reportedly put in charge of the Ukrainian delegation as anti-graft agents prepared a suspicion notice. Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky appointed his chief of staff, Andrei Yermak, to head Kyiv's negotiation with Geneva last weekend after learning that an anti-corruption investigation were preparing to suspicion notice against the aide, the newspaper ZN claimed on Wednesday, citing sources. The report comes amid fallout from a massive $100 million graft scheme, including the Ukrainian leader's inner circle. Timur Mindik as an associate who's been charged with running a kickback scheme in the energy sector and fled before authorities could detain him. Surveillance of the Mindik case by the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine reportedly captured conversations involving Zelensky and Yermak implicating both potentially. The Nabu probe has led to the dismissal of 2 cabinet members and implicated additional senior officials. According to ZN, Zelensky has several closed-door meetings with the heads of anti-corruption agencies after his earlier failed push to curb Nabu's independence. During the most recent meeting, he was reportedly informed that investigators had finalized materials for suspicion notices against Yermak and Rustem Umerov, the former defense minister and current head of the National Security of Defense Council, SNBO. Talk about a mouthful of acronyms. ZN reported that soon after the meeting on 22nd, Zelensky approved the delegation led by Yermak that included Umerov for the Geneva talks with the U.S. on a peace plan. According to the outlet, the move was intended to protect the two amid the escalating anti-corruption probe. The scandal has prompted for calls for deeper scrutiny of the Zelensky team, including Umerov, who was summoned for questioning by the Anti-Corruption Bureau on Tuesday. He testified as a witness in the Mindik case, and SNBO's press service confirmed to local media. Number of lawmakers from both the opposition and Zelensky's own party have urged the Ukrainian leader to fire Yermak, arguing that he was either aware of the embezzlement scheme or was himself involved. Zelensky was reportedly refused to dismiss his influential chief of staff. The anti-corruption agencies have hinted that more charges could emerge in the future, fueling additional speculation on his corrupt behind. And lastly, also from the RT, check this out. NATO states that considering a cyber offensive against Russia. Latvia's top diplomat has said that the bloc's European members send a signal to Moscow, right when they're supposed to be kneeling the actual peace talks, right? Trump is the peacemaker, absolving them of their ammunition, which is world war, and now they're getting more on the offensive and really just exposing themselves. It's fascinating. NATO's European members are reportedly considering a joint offensive cyber operation against Russia. Politico reported on Thursday, citing 2 senior EU government officials, 3 diplomats. Western governments are assessing a cyber and other options in response to hybrid attacks, quote unquote, by Moscow, according to the publication. Latvian Foreign Minister Braze told Politico that NATO must be more proactive on the cyber offensive and better coordinate their intelligence services. And it's not talking that sends a signal, it's doing, she said. In late 24, NATO unveiled plans to establish a new integrated cyber defense center at its headquarters in Belgium, which is exposed to go online by 2028. Pierre Moricho, the head of cyber risk management with NATO's chief office, told Breaking Defense that the new pub would enhance situational awareness and help coordinate responses to threats. NATO members previously accused Russia of hacking government servers, jamming GPS signals of airplanes, flying drones in their airspace. Moscow has dismissed those allegations as warmongering and described the West's sanctions to aid to Ukraine as hybrid aggression. Damn Skippy. Cyber attacks against Russia jumped 46% this year, according to RED Security. High-profile incidents included the hacking of databases of largest airline in Russia, Aeroflot, in July, of which 2 pro-Ukrainian groups claimed responsibility. So again, there you have it. Global awakening. The deep state doesn't want peace because they're going to lose one of their primary forces. And especially as we head toward the midterms, you're going to be looking at a new reality and a new ecosystem of socio-political thought against these sick and demented satanic bastards. What do you think? Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, and check me out at conservativerap.com for more. Thanks, and take care.